In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to install JAMS from scratch on a server using Ubuntu 20.04. We're going to purchase a domain name and install a free Let's Encrypt certificate and a private key. On the top corner of the screen, let's click on Create Droplet. Leave the default selection to Ubuntu. Now we're gonna add a new SSH key. For that, we gonna go to the terminal and look for SSH key that we have generated. If you don't have an SSH key, you can use the command that is in the description. Once you have copied your SSH key, you can paste it in the dialog box and click on Add SSH key. You can scroll down to create the droplet. Now we're gonna wait for the droplet to get generated. Once the droplet is generated, we can then SSH to the droplet using the command in the description. Now we can go on hostgator.com so we can purchase our domain name. We can search for a domain name. And then we're gonna process for the purchase of the domain name. Once you have purchased your domain name and you have accessed your customer portal, you're gonna see your domain name in the domain name list. The domain name is pending. You have to wait for a few minutes to get it processed. Now we're gonna go back to DigitalOcean and click on the dots to the right of our droplet to click on Add Domain. We're gonna copy the domain name and paste it to add the domain name. Now we're gonna copy the name server address. We're gonna paste the name server 1 and then we're gonna add name server 2. Now we have to wait for the DNS to propagate. In my case, it took about 15 minutes. Now we can visit jami.net/services so we can copy the JAMS download link. Once we have copied the JAMS download link, we can go back to our SSH where we have SSH to our droplet, and we can paste the command in the description to get the tar file for JAMS beta. We can then untar the file using the command in the description, tar-xf jams beta.tar, and cd into the JAMS folder. It is very important to first update and then upgrade your droplet so we can make sure that we have the last version of packages, and then we can install OpenJDK 11 for executing our JAMS jar app. I can now start JAMS using port 80 just for testing if JAMS is executed correctly. We can then visit the domain name of our website and we should see the first page of JAMS installation wizard. Otherwise, we can also try the IP address of our droplet and we should see the same page. Now, to get access to JAMS using HTTPS on port 443, we're gonna have to install a certificate and a key. To get a certificate and a key, we recommend using Let's Encrypt. To use Let's Encrypt, we can go on certbot.eff.org to look for certbot installation process. We can execute the command sudo certbot cert only, so we can start the process to get a certificate and a private key. If you follow the process, first we're gonna give an email address. Then we're gonna specify the domain name that we want to generate a certificate for. Once the process is finished, you can see that certificate and the private key were generated. We're gonna then copy them to the current folder where JAMS is located. We can now start JAMS using port 443. Make sure to first input the certificate name and then the private key. Once JAMS is launched, we can start configuring JAMS. So we're gonna first create an admin, and then we're gonna create a self-signed certificate that will be used by JAMS to generate certificates for each Jami user. You can provide your company name, country, state, and city, and give an organization name and an organization unit. In this case, we're gonna configure JAMS to be used for a local database. We can also use JAMS with an LDAP or an Active Directory. We will find other videos explaining on our channel how to configure JAMS using an LDAP and an Active Directory. On the last step of the configuration, the domain name is automatically added to the domain input. We can then start using JAMS by clicking on Set Server Parameters. Now we can create a username with only alphanumerical characters and a dash are mandatory, and the passwords can be generated and copied. We can then create a group, so we can associate our users to a group. Also, a group can be associated to a blueprint, where the blueprint will be applied to the users of the group. So anytime a user connects from a new device, the blueprint preferences will be applied to his device. In the settings area, we can specify the language and change the admin password. Now we're gonna see how to add a Jami account from JAMS. If you go to add a new account, and you click on Advanced Features and connect to a JAMS server, you can then copy paste the JAMS domain name to the JAMS URL and specify the username and password and click on Connect. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, please go on forum.jami.net